Congratulations, you've made it to the stage. And now, before we left off, we were able to create, we just did the skeleton of this, and we're going to be populating it. And behind the scene, I just have to do the edits, right? The module.edit or the edit profile. It's exactly the same thing as what will be done before. There is nothing special there. We are getting all this from the request.body, and that's what we're getting. We're also getting the ID that we actually want to edit. So for example, the person's ID will be coming from the client. Let's assume we're editing this ID. So it's going to be coming from the client like this. And here, what we are getting from the client, I would destructuring from the client. So this is just all. And after that, we do the usual by saying that the profile model does find by ID and update. So it's find it by ID. And the second parameter is just going to be what you want to edit, what you want it to be editable. If you don't want a particular thing to be editable, you don't put it here. You can take it off. That means you don't want this feed to be editable. So, and then you just tag it with the dot then. And here we send a response to say profile edited. You can put all this in a try catch. You can actually make it better, but just for the sake of understanding and just for the sake of this lesson, and just to get things move on, we're just going to leave that for now because I've taught you the best practice. You can do that and take that as your own assignment. Okay, so that is it. So after we've done that, we can then test for the particular page that we want to edit. So let me go to the browser, and I'll feel like MongoDB Compass. I want to edit this. As you can see the record here, this person is from the USA, the location is USA is 28, and see all the record in here. So I want to, change that record. So I'm just going to go to this, and instead of this ID, I'll place this ID here. So this is the ID that I want to change. And you make sure that there's no mistake on the ID. Now, this ID, you're not the one to get it. Once the front-end developer displays the record, is going to definitely, bring out all, is going to list all this out, including the ID, but this will be hidden. It will be hidden from, the users. But we, the backend developer, knows how to get this, right? So we've already agreed with the front-end developer that is going to be sending it called ID. So the name must tally with exactly what we are destructuring from here. So you can see what we're destructuring from here, we also call it ID. If the name doesn't tally, then there's going to be a problem. So after that, we just do this to the feed of the database, and boom, we are good to go. So we've already done this before now. So we're just going to go straight and try to change some settings. So this person is not going to be from, it's going to be from Ghana, right? And this person, so let's see, facts, and the person can still decide to remain that MSC. You can change it to BXC, and that this person is a programmer. And what else? Okay, the person wants a relationship as well. So let's check that. So we want to edit this record in the database. So take a look at this record. This is what we have here. Take a look at it properly, and we're about to hit that edit button. So how do we do that? We go to the route, which is edit, and we all know where that route is. So we go to the route and edit the route. So the route on our code, we check out this place, and this is the route that sees a date. So we are not expecting a param, so it's just a normal stuff, and it's a put request. So we're just going to go in there and hit this. So once we hit this, we're going to wait for a while, and here we go, profile edited. We go back to this and check how it works, and we're going to see that this, we'll refresh this and check out the record again. Then after checking out the record, you can see it has been edited. So this person is not this, and you can see some of the things. The person is not from Ghana, and the editing is actually working. So this was what we did before now. So we don't just want to waste time with that. And what we actually want to pay attention to is actually the ability to fetch. Now, don't forget we are creating a relationship between the profile and the user. How then do we fetch this record. So I'm just going to go the very simple way. Let's assume we want to actually fetch a particular kind of record. And you know when you're fetching a particular kind of record, you need the ID. And we're going to be getting that from request.parent because we want a situation whereby we want to edit. We've already created the route for it, which says, okay, this one that says get a profile. So that's the route for get a profile, the / column. So that ID, right, is like a parameter, it's a parameter, right? It's like a variable. So whatever we put there is going to be the slash. So let's just do this quickly. So we have, we're just going to put this here. And instead of this, we're going to be getting some ID that we actually want to get. Let's assume we want to view this page and we want to view a certain record. And we're just going to be using this again. So we want to get this. So what we're doing is that we're getting the ID of this as usual, then we're using it to query database. If you have any issues with this, you can go back to our previous videos. Okay, so, and now you can quickly come back here and run that and see if you can get the ID. From the ID, then you then query the database. So let's call that and let's ID, I want to call it ID, capital letter ID, equal to request params. So dot ID, that's the name that we called it, right? So we have it now. If we console.log it out, we're definitely going to have the ID being console.log. So let's quickly run that from our stuff here. So if we run this, we'll go to the console.log. I think it's taking a while for it to load. So run this again quickly. So we'll go to the console.log. It's saying that it's not found. Okay, I think I need to be very sure of the route. So get a profile, right? And we're getting the ID. And let's see this. This is get a profile. Oh, get a profile. That's a mistake. So the route's not found. Okay, get a profile. So let's do that. So if we check that out, it's still saying not found. Get a profile, then /. Let's check out this while we're not getting the route. So I think get a profile, we go to the route, and this is it. Get a profile. That's it. Then / whatever ID that we're actually printing out. So what we're just doing is that we're trying to print out the ID first to be sure that we're getting that. So always do all this. Try to always get one or two things before, you know, as you're writing your code, be testing it so as to be sure that you're actually getting the data instead of querying the database and at the end of the day going back and you wasting too much time on that. So we're going to put that here. It's called a get profile. I just want to paste it just to be sure that I'm actually doing the right thing. And I've been making a mistake. This is a get request, for crying out loud. So so get request. So that's a get request. So we just do this. Hit this and we're going to get the record for that, the ID. So we're getting the ID. That's very good. So nothing has been wrong with it. It's just that I was just using the wrong. It was on put. So I've changed it to get. So it's able to print out the ID. So this is the ID that we're going to use to create database now. So we can create database with this ID. So we say, so I'm going to make this async. Now async, which is asynchronous kind of programming, it means we have what is called the blocking and the non-blocking. So it's a non-blocking kind of programming whereby you can run two or more programs at the same time. So the async function is always very effective. And also, I will just tell you in a layman's language, anytime you want to use the async, you must make sure that you are actually trying to fetch data. Anytime you're trying to get something, you're trying to fetch something maybe from the database or from an API, always use the async. It's much more efficient. Okay, and we're just going to do that now, and we'll go to the profile model. So we're going to find by ID. That's what we want to do. We want to find by ID. So it takes this parameter, the ID itself. So we are finding by the ID. So if I do find by ID and I placed in the ID, it's just going to find by ID. Then I do dot execute dot ex. So we're just going to have dot execute method. And that is it. What it means is that it's going to give me some record right here because I'm trying to find a particular stuff by ID. So let me check that out. So whatever the record is, I'm just going to save it in let's let me see, a user equal to. Now I'm going to await this response. So because I'm using an async, so we need to await it. So I'm going to await this. So you're just going to print this out. Then you can tag this in, put it in a try catch, make it better, but just for the sake of testing. And if you want to know how to do that, watch the previous video. Okay, so we can just console.log out, or we rest the send. We send it as a response to the front end developer. We send it as a response and see a user. So a user. So you can just do rest.send, or you do rest.status. You set the status, which is going to be okay. So if you want to check out to do that, you check out our previous video as well. So we're just sending the response to the front end. So let's check for that. So this is very useful when you go to someone's profile, you want to see the person's profile. So what you're going to do is just you click, when you click and you see the person's profile being displayed. So let's give it a moment of true. Okay, here we go. We are getting a response. So see, this is a response. That record has been displayed, that particular record. So this is how you view somebody's profile. So this is somebody's profile. And what do you see here? You can see that we actually created this user, which was, a link between the ID of the user. Is that okay? Which is a foreign key, as the case may be. So how do we then access everything we have in here? For example, we want to access everything we have in the user. We just have the user ID, so we don't know the name of the user. We don't know anything about the user. So how do we achieve that? So that's the major aim of this lesson quickly. So to do that is also it's pretty simple. Is that okay? So to do that is you're just going to add tag to this and say dot populate. Dot populate. So you're populating it with a certain feed. Now the field you're populating it with is called user. Now you may be tempted to do this. You may be tempted to do user, capital letter, because when we are creating the model, we actually use user. And now MongoDB turned this to user and added S to it, which is users, right? So in our case, for us to be able to do exactly what the collection says and what the MongoDB is saying, we take off the X. That's all we need to take off. Is that okay? And we'll say we are linking up with the user collection so that we can see everything we have in the user collection. That's all we needed to do. So we'll go back and try that again, and you see the kind of response that we're going to get this time. Okay, I think it's still waiting for it to come up. So we're a little bit faster than our shadows. Okay, now it's connected to the database. So let's try that out now. So when we hit this, we're going to get all the records, right? Can you see that? So this is user. In the user, we have the ID now, we have the email, we have the password. Is that okay? In fact, we should have the full name of the user. So we have the full name of the user. His name is Kenyon Benz, right? Can you see that? So you can get all this from it. So as it's being printed out, so the user is also there. So the user who holds it and every other stuff. So this is very, very useful. So let's go on. And we all know that this doesn't make too much sense, that we're sending the password to the front ender. Now the front ender, of course, we trust its integrity, but we will not want to do this so it doesn't get displayed. In any way, the front ender will also try as much as possible not to display this, but it's also not very effective. So anything we do in the back end is always very safe compared to what the security at the back end is always very safe compared to the front end. So what we'll try to do is that we'll try to eliminate this and make sure that this is no longer showing, and we're just going to be printing out some certain stuff. We want to tell you that, okay, what we want to print out is just this email. We want to send this email out, and we want to send this out. We don't want this password feed to be there. So it's also very pretty simple to do. So let's quickly do that. So in our populate, where we just placed a user, where we place users, instead we're going to make an object out of this. So we're going to be having what is called an object, so we can put in some properties. So the first one is going to be path. The path shows where we actually want to put it. Is that okay? So the path shows the table we are linking it to. We are linking it to the table of user. So what I've written before can also be written this way. The first one I did was a shortcut. So you can also do it exactly this way, and it's going to give you the same results. But the second parameter that I want to add to it is select. So there is a parameter called select. So this select also is also going to take some record. Now, this is what I'm going to do. You just put this. Now, we are telling it the feed that we actually want it to select. The feed we want it to select is the email feed. Now, do not try to put a comma. It won't work, right? Right there in this space, in this single quote, just give it a space. It understands, right, that we want to print out the next one, which is the full name. So what it's going to do is that it's going to allow us to print out the email and the full name, so neglecting the password. Now, at default, the ID will be printed out. Is that okay? At default, the ID will be printed out. So let's save that and give it a shot again. So if we go back to our test and run that, our clients, and run that again, I think we're waiting for it to come up. So let it connect to the database before we do that. Okay, now it's connected. So we run that again. So you can see our record. So pay attention to the record now. So I think we are getting, we are getting this, the profile. The profile is printed out, right? We have the email and we have the username, no longer password. Password is no longer there, right? As I said before, now this is at default. So this is how you can actually create a table. It creates a collection. Permit me if I see a table because I'm coming from relational database. So you create a collection and you can link the two collections together, right? And that is exactly what we have done. We just linked the two collections together. So we have the user and we have the select, and that is it for now. Okay, so if you have any question, please do not hesitate to ask or send me an email. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.